right, everybody. Yep, we have connection. We are live. Here it is once again, yet another week, and the internet is always fun of exciting entertainment. We'll just leave it at that. Um, there is definitely some stuff to talk about tonight, but we're just gonna also be kind of winging it because it's almost like same old with the internet. It's almost like let's just bluntly say it, Mickey. When can we finally click on social media or any kind of gaming entertainment and we see actual genuine excitement? But no, this week it's obviously we can't, like let's just so we've got the Xbox Marketplace. Like when I say the Xbox Marketplace is the 360 store. That was the marketplace. It's actually referred to as the Xbox Store now, what we use. The marketplace was its own little monster back in the day.
Mhm.
And we remembered back in the day that whole idea of like, hey, let's buy some digital games. And remember back when people talked about digital games, everybody was like, "Oh my god, owning your games digitally. I need my disc," you know? And so it's been happening for a little while now. We've been knowing it's going to happen. It's right around the corner. On July 29th, it looks like it's going to be officially set in stone that the Xbox Live Marketplace from the Xbox 360 store will be officially shut down. That means you need to have everything lined up at this point. Like any demos you want to play, play them. Any content you want to download it now. Do whatever you got to do to preserve like your digital content per se. But there is going to be a lot of stuff going away. I really don't know the fine details. This kind of goes into its own little conversation on should these companies be able to cut people off from that? Yeah, yes, we will get into that, Blue. Um, I'm still trying to figure out what they're trying to free. Are they trying to free uh the principle or like I understand the ideological principle of this, but I really think they're trying to free the main character's goodies if you really want me to be honest on that one, Blue. But we'll get on that in a second. But the Xbox 360 marketplace is closing down. Everybody's obviously trying to talk about the oh my god, there's going to be like X amount of games that people aren't going to be able to have access to because they were only sold digitally. I have to agree that there's going to be questions on whether or not people are going to have access to the games that they own on the Xbox 360 marketplace. There is a portion, I'm not going to say a good portion, but there is a significant portion of games. Um, Thank you, Yobi. Thank you for shouting it out, and also thank you to both you and Blue for being here. Um, the Xbox 360 marketplace, I really want to know: are people going to be able to play their games that they already paid for, or do they got to have like some magical hard drive that never breaks down? Otherwise, they'll never have access to them again. I really do feel that people should have access to the stuff, and like I was saying, that there's a portion of gaming that is still able to be played through backwards compatibility, but there is going to be a lot of stuff that is going to be essentially locked away once the Xbox 360 marketplace is gone. And that's where you could go out and buy an Xbox 360, play these games and whatnot, but let's face it, when you buy these older consoles, you got the issue of, is the CMOS battery still intact? Is the capacitors swollen, getting ready to burst all over the board? And that, basically fries the damn console. There's a lot of factors into having an older console laying around like an Xbox 360 or an older console in general, anything retro. Um, but that's where then you kind of go down the road of preservation. But what do you think, Mickey, from somebody that, this is why we talk about, I hate using the term casual, but that's where you're more like my general consumer perspective because you essentially you just game and you enjoy what's put in front of you. It's like back in the day when your parents put dinner in front of you, you ate whatever was on that damn plate. You didn't get to be like, oh, I didn't want like steak and broccolis. I wanted macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. And definitely, like, that's why I love getting your perspective. You definitely are a passionate gamer, but you are also one that happens to be a little bit realistic. I'm curious on what your perspective is on the Xbox 360 marketplace actually officially getting shut down, out of business, turn the lights off at the end of July.
Well, it's going to be a sad time because we reflect back on purchases and the way it molded the 360 game pickup, or however you want to explain it. But I mean, it's been how many years since it's been around. Unfortunately, it just seems eventually some of the older stuff starts to they just don't want to keep I guess they just don't want to keep it around anymore because they have to focus on true, but they also have to they're putting their focus more on the new era stuff, the stuff that's going on today. So maybe they just don't they don't have the time and to really try to keep everything to keep that stuff up there, and with I guess they're just gonna basically you're just gonna have to buy discs now, obviously, because you're not gonna be able to purchase off the site. But I mean, it just seems like it's probably just one of those things. I mean, to me, it's just it's old news. Not I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, but it's kind of what it is, and they're just I think they're kind of wanting to put their focus more on everything that's kind of up to date now. So I mean, that's what I think. I could be completely wrong, but it's kind of what my brain tells me. So, but that's what I think.
Now, so here's the thing. Yeah, I can understand the argument where people would say, well, we're talking about a $1 trillion company that could fork over the bill and somehow migrate the Xbox 360 servers over to a new server system.
And they could do that too. I mean, that would make sense, but
that's where it comes down to at the end of the day. There's this one substance that makes the whole world go round. What? Oh, money. No, like, and I hate throwing that out there. Like, it's like a money thing, but that's where like Marcus AI, forgive me if I got that wrong. It's Marcus AI or Marcus Al. He, like his comment, Xbox 360 store rely on servers and servers cost money to maintain. They absolutely do. So like here's a little piece of like tidbit. So part of what I do for where I work is business development, and part of that development is implementation of new services, we'll call that. And one of the things that they have me doing right now is helping kind of implement an inventory system. I had two options. We could either do this with cloud storage, which cloud storage and building the storage in the server cost roughly about $5,000, and there's about a $725 monthly fee for however long we want to use this system for basically the leasing of the software and the leasing of the space inside the server. So it costs about $5,000 just to outright build the space in the server for us, code it, make it work. And then there's a $700 and some like monthly subscription. And so like, I'm just saying, if you use this software for 5 years, do the math at $725, but you're supposed to be able to build your entire business off the system. This isn't something that you're going to just get rid of willy-nilly. For you to localize it and build a server, it would have cost at least around $13,000 for us to have that server. And there still would have been the leasing fee for the what is essentially the software, which would have been about a couple $100 less than the 725. But that's where it comes down to, just for a small privately ran business, for the storage of parts and part numbers and serial numbers, couple, like, we're talking, like we said, like, right now my investment to build all this system was we're already $15,000 deep, and we're paying $725 a month now. So that's where we haven't even built a server. To have something like that work long term, it's going to cost a lot of money. And that's where, let's look at the Xbox 360 marketplace and Xbox 360, Xbox Live for that matter, from that system. I could only imagine the price tag it costs to have those servers running. Generally, for servers on that scale, they're stored inside a refrigerated area. So you're paying a very substantial power bill. You have on-hand techs that at any moment something goes wrong, they have to be deployed to go out and fix the issues. And it's like one of the issues, like, it's kind of like, go look at photos of your internet service provider. And so every internet service provider, your ISP, has what is known as their DNS server, their basically dialed network server. But essentially, when you put out a request to go to whatever website, it goes into your ISP's DNS server, and the DNS server goes and translates it and eventually pulls up your website. Because at the end of the day, computers are all ones and zeros. The DNS server is essentially like the address book for all the ones and zeros. Now, that's why it's like, if you go look at some of the DNS servers for your ISP, you see photos of them. It looks like a damn bomb went on in it. There's a rat's nest. There's wires everywhere, because when that thing was first created, it was, everything was happy, hunky-dory. Everything was in its right place. And then there was a problem, and they had to patch it, and they had to run a new wire, and years and years and years of running new wires and blah, blah, blah. Everything they have to do to keep that system going. Eventually, you have a rat's nest, or what we also like to call the electric octopus, just running around in the room, and it looks like absolute hell. And you can't really just like shut that thing down and do some cable management like we do behind our entertainment centers. It's just almost like stuck being that way. So that's where a lot of people, like when you go into the settings of your Xbox and we change our DNS servers to something like Google or Cloudflare, there's a number of DNS servers. Like when you guys go switch those little magical 8 numbers in the background of your Xbox, you're essentially switching away from your IP, your internet provider's DNS server, to a DNS server that essentially is better taken care of. Cloudflare, Google, these companies have a lot more money, and they have a lot more at stake to make sure that those servers are pristine and primed, ready to go. And the other thing is, like, we could get into the weeds of it, like your internet service provider, some of their DNS servers, like, when you type in a website and it doesn't pop up and you get that 404 error. Well, some DNS servers actually like to have what they call a 404 failure ad. In other words, if your website does not come up, some DNS servers would like to take advantage of the cookies stored in your computer, and that's where they'll instantly pull up a search results of some of the stuff that's in the background of your cookies on your computer. So now some DNS servers will actually violate your privacy on your computer just to try to advertise something to you. And that's where that's where you get into situations where the DNS server is running slow because they're using these kind of systems in the background, and that obviously creates latency, which makes the server run slower, which means that your ping rate and everything that we use when we play online is a lot worse. And that's another reason why a lot of people like to switch away from their service provider's DNS, because of the fact that some of these servers have stuff in the background of them that could cause your shit to run slower, which is why we like to use stuff like Cloudflare, If you get like a VPN, some VPNs will actually give you a DNS address to actually put everything in your household into, and you don't got to worry about them trying to force feed you ads or collecting data in their DNS server. But going back to the what we were talking at hand, this stuff requires a lot of money and upkeep, and just over the years, especially if you're not, you can only do so much with older systems. It's either upgraded or shut it down. And this is where Xbox has basically finally come out and said, hey, we're shutting it down. you know Xbox Live, let's face it, I remember the Xbox Live network from the 360, 2006, 2005. We're 20 years in. We're almost 20 years in on the Xbox 360 marketplace.
Mhm.
I will definitely say it had a good run. Is it going to be sad to see some of that stuff go? Yes. If I was Xbox, at least I would try to find some ways of like trying to preserve some of these old games by letting them be put on systems like Ant Arcade. Just for those who don't know what Ant Arcade is, it's a game streaming service that you can either pay monthly for, or you can actually pay a not so expensive fee for a lifetime access, and you can get to play games all the way from like, great retro games from like the 80s to some of the newer titles, like I want to say up to like the late 90s, early 2000s. There's some good games in there, but that's where I really do think that maybe Xbox could, at least this was illusions of grandeur, but it would be nice if Xbox offloaded some of those games into that service. Because the funny part is Xbox has a, like, I don't want to say an exact partnership, but you can actually get Ant Arcade on Xbox and actually play some of these games on your Xbox. So yeah, Yobi, that fee is $79.99. So for $80, you could have lifetime access to like this service. And to me, there's some games in there I've even toyed around with. Like, I really need to get that before. I want to be one of those that's grandfathered in, because if that service, Mickey, ever blows up and takes off, you know damn well that lifetime subscription will go away, and you'll be one of those ones that'll walk around like, I got my life. Because we actually have that with certain software. Nowadays, the subscription model reigns king in software, but like in like the early days of like software, you could buy your lifetime access, and like they straight up tell you like your lifetime access is literally for whatever computer it's on. So if that computer breaks, dude, you got a problem. But no, it is sad to see that the Xbox 360 marketplace is going to go down, but again, it comes down to time and money, and time goes on, things change. And sometimes things aren't, some people don't like how things change.
Yeah, because some people don't like change.
Oh, some people don't like change. They don't.
And there's certain things that I don't like change, but I mean, when it comes to technology and stuff, I mean, it's unfortunately it's going to happen, because I mean that's just the way of the world. So
you know what? You're right, and that's where let's kind of have like a little bit of a segue into what we do want to talk about. Let's first start off here. Mickey, what was the last game you pre-ordered? Be honest.
Pre-ordered? Oh shit!
Pre-ordered. Like, just so everybody knows, me and Mickey want to pre-order the Star Wars Outlaws game, but that's because at this point, when somebody tells me not to do it, I'm just gonna do it. But
I want to say it was the last game I attempted to pre-order. I think it was one of the Assassin's Creed games. I believe it was either not Origins. It was either Valhalla or the one before it. If I remember correctly, it was one of those.
Have you?
But I stopped doing pre-ordering because of the way they, do the whole card thing. as far as pulling money off the card, where it was weird. I can't remember what they did, but
If you
I was just like, you
if
know what,
you
I'm not doing it anymore.
so I know the problem you're talking about. If you pre-order a game a month before it comes out, they don't really charge you. They actually charge you the week of it coming out.
Right.
And for somebody that totally forgot about it, that could and like
Yeah, it
lives your
screws
life
you.
on a
Right.
lives your life on a budget, that could throw you the F off for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where, and when I say budget, I mean like people that just like to meticulously watch their money, and when all of a sudden like $80 just vanishes that you forgot about, you're kind of like, oh my God, how did that happen? But that's where I get what you're talking about, but what about like situations of like when we pre-order a game and it's not as advertised, something's broken, developers using the concept of a day one patch to try to fix things, but sometimes the day one patch doesn't always fix it and it doesn't get fixed for like a couple weeks after.
Mm-hmm.
What about like all the issues that have seemingly started to plague the idea of a pre-order? Because back in the day, a pre-order was being excited about, I have $5 on the game at GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
The day of the launch of the game, we all gather outside of GameStop, and we just stand in line and just talk about video games, get excited, having the discussions that we want to have today, especially like right here in the chat. And yeah, like William, yeah, definitely pre-orders equals beta testing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-order means beta test. And so thank you everybody, Jago, Marcus, Yobi, Blue, William, thank you everybody for coming to check us out. Definitely excited to have everybody here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have excited for all you to be here, and like imagine all of us just chilling in a line at GameStop back in the day, pre-ordering a game, having a good old time. We all remember how the manager would come out and like throw stuff at it. Like I got like a deck of cards in front of me that one gave me one time when Destiny was big, and I remember when they were trying to sell those deck of cards for $10 at GameStop for Destiny. Like, here's some Destiny playing cards for like $10. And it's like, no. And then eventually they ended up like, you know what? Here, you could just have them because you're standing out line for a pre-order. And people don't do this very much anymore. I forget. I think it was actually when we picked up Star Wars Battlefront, the 2017 debacle with all the pay to win shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
But so that maybe that was when the death of the pre-order was really starting to get interesting, was when you get to the front counter and you're picking up Battlefront 2, the 2017 one, and you're like, all right, I'm here for my game. Would you like the starter pack? What do you mean the starter pack? Oh, it gets you these crystals and these extra cards, and it gives you an advantage in the multiplayer. Say what? Like, like you're just like, what do you mean advantage? Well, you can upgrade the cards in the game with these crystals, and the crystals can be bought with money. Yes. So you can pay to win. Yes. Oh, this is bad. This is real bad. Like I still remember standing in there. I'm like, I'm gonna get this game, but I already know how this is gonna go down. This is bad. Like, man, I wish they would have advertised this, but all right, I'm already locked in. I bought my game. Yay. um so I was back in the day, it was to pick up the game, not pre. So okay, you're right. But we had the game on pre-order. See that like, yeah, we're not the pre-order, but we were there to pick the game up because it was on pre-order. It like back in the day, we were excited to pre-order a game. Now when you pre-order a game, like William said, woo, pull the almighty slot machine. You get a sick game. But what I mean by, sick can go one of two ways. It could be really badass, or it can be sick, like bad, like this thing needs some help. Needs a couple patches. Oh, great. That's speaking of gaming. That's dedication right there. When you have an alarm on your phone to remind you to log into your ESO account.
Oh crap! I gotta log into mine.
I know. By the way, quick little whip for ESO players. The month of May, we're getting some actually really fun, cool stuff in. And by the way, I am not sponsored by ZeniMax or Elder Scrolls, but the month of May for Elder Scrolls Online, for you guys out there that actually are interested in Elder Scrolls Online, by logging in a few times this month through your daily rewards, no subscription necessary. Just log in, play the game for, dude, just walk in and just like stare at somebody for a second and just collect it. From what I read on like day 3, you're getting a house. So, but yeah, like that, it's almost like why people are turning to Game Pass nowadays, Jago. Because like, yeah, like anymore when you're not like, I have actually gone and tried a game in Game Pass, before I bought it because I'm like, I don't know. And so like, you know, let's talk. Actually, I know a game we pre-ordered, but wait, you said Valhalla, but let's talk about some of the disappointing ones. Outriders. That game's fine now. It's actually a really good game, in my opinion. Outriders has a way better shooter mechanic and story compared to Destiny, but that's my own personal opinion. Maybe I'm just a little bit bitter against Destiny for having this term called "we sunset content." But also, let's talk like this. Like Mickey here really got screwed on one. Remember the Anthem one? Like, you go ahead and tell people what happened with your Anthem situation there. Like your pre-order bonus.
Yeah, they when I pre-ordered it,
Like it was called like the Legend of the Dawn, like the Dawn edition,
the
Legend of Dawn edition,
something
or
like that. And it was freaking. What exactly did freaking happen? I totally had a freaking
complete that memory. That he's like, I
blank
want that
completely
sour
out.
memory.
It pissed me off though. That I do know.
So the Legend of Dawn edition, that like you got some pre-order bonuses, and you also got the Legend of Dawn armor. None of that shit unlocked for him. It stayed locked.
That's right.
He never got the extras that he paid for or pre-ordered for. He literally got the base game, and EA knew about the problem, and they never fixed it.
I think I called them too to try to figure out what was going on.
Dude, Jago, I played Outriders a few months ago. That game was fun, especially as I believe it was called the Technomancer, like on how you gain health from meleeing people. Dude, like, I'm sorry, but that game was so much fun because of like just how in your face, like, I mean, like, it kind of reminded me back in the day with Halo when you would like get close to a guy and you'd pelt down his shield with your gun, and by the time you got to him, the clip is empty, and the only thing you have left is that skull cracking finale with a melee finish. Like, that's what it felt like with playing Outriders, is you would just get up in these guys' faces, and then you just drop like a melee freaking strike, and you just decimate the guys around you, and your health bar goes from like practically empty to full. Yeah, dude, for real, they Forsaken. The minute they made Cade 6 non-existent, I had my middle finger up to Bungie. I was mad when they removed Cade 6. How about you, Mick? You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
See that?
I mean, I wasn't like, I didn't have like a. I wasn't completely following the storyline as well as like you and Chris were. So I didn't have that. I didn't have an emotional attachment to him, but I do understand why people, got upset. Why, when it happened. But, I mean, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, whichever. Because Chris kept telling me about it because he was extremely butthurt.
Oh, dude. Well, dude, like, it had nothing to do. Like, don't get me wrong. The story also is a big point of it because, like, dude, for starters, Cade 6 was probably one of the most fleshed out characters in the Destiny lore, in my opinion. But also, he helped market the crap out of that game. Him and the chicken. Remember when the game was being launched? Him sitting in the bar talking to the other guys that he had already shot up, and he's sitting there having a convo with the chicken. There's other ones with him standing there like in the middle of like the
He was funny.
Yeah,
That was
dude,
for sure.
like
He
he
was
really
hilarious.
made those like those marketing commercials for Destiny. And that's why I was just like shocked. I was just like, you're gonna wipe off Cade 6? The guy that helped you sell the game? What the hell?
I mean, you know, some of the best characters do end up dying in certain games, but
Well, they end up
you
dying,
know,
but the point is you could go play that game again. Like, I'm gonna
well,
go
yeah,
I'm gonna
because
go
of the
yeah.
content that
No,
they
I'm just saying, like, good point
yeah.
and example. Mass Effect. Thane Krios, if you go play Mass Effect 2, Thane Krios is a badass. In Mass Effect 3, some things happen, but I can always go back to Mass Effect 2 and check out Thane. I don't know what I would do if they would just be like, you know what, we just wrote him out. We got rid of him. He's no longer even there. You could still go play the game, but he's just not there. And that's where I was just like shocked. I'm like, dude, you guys literally just like erased one of the best characters from Destiny. There's no way. The only way you can go experience Cade 6 right now is literally through the Remember When machine known as YouTube and the internet. Oh yeah, and the Bungie take away items that you pay for. Yeah, Bungie. That is still the only developer off the top of my head that I know that has literally took a lot of money from me, and I have nothing to show for it because it's like I can't go play Forsaken. Oh my god, I know the story, the story of the Red Army in the launch of Destiny 2, the Temple of Osiris, and there was also another one. I forget the name of it, but at any rate, yeah, like there's a good, like it's like almost the first couple years of content, the first 2 years of content for Destiny literally live in people's memories or on videos of YouTube. There's no way to experience it again. It's actually quite sad. But and like there's other like that's the whole thing. That like this conversation is like we are so leery of pre-ordering now because you don't know what you're gonna get. Is the game going to be as advertised? Is the game gonna work? Is there gonna be some system in it that you had no idea that was gonna be there? Kind of like we brought up with the Battlefront 2 crystals thing. Shit being broke like what happened with Anthem. Or the loading screens in Anthem. Remember the loading screens in Anthem? That was like a huge surprise to everybody. But the whole conversation, this is where, I had to laugh when Blue came in here. Like, yeah, Bungie's in big trouble. They are in big trouble, and they were also told by their actual owners over at Sony that they've got to straighten up the house that they got going on. So yeah, I'm still yeah. Yeah, I feel you, Yobi, on that about Thane Krios, because I mean, I loved Mickey. You gotta like play the Mass Effect games because I love when you meet Thane. He literally freaking assassinates somebody, and it's just like you killed that person. Thane straight up looks at me, and the guy looks at you and is like, "I didn't kill him. The person that paid me to do it killed them." And it's just like, "Excuse me, what justification does that do it?" And it's like, well, do you blame the gun for killing somebody, or do you blame the person that pulled the trigger? He's like, I'm an extension of the person that pulled the trigger. I'm just the person that was paid to do it, but I wasn't the one that wanted her dead. And I'm just like, oh my god, this dude is crazy. And he's like, but when you really find out that he's like, suffering from a terminal illness, and he literally lives like this crazy spiritual lifestyle of just assassinating bad people to basically make amends for all the things he's done throughout his life, you almost like, as you play the game, grow to love this guy. Yeah. And same, Marcus. Yeah, Forsaken was one of the best campaigns in Destiny. But that's where, like, so here we are. Blue brought it up earlier. Let's have some fun. And this is like the reason why I say it's fun is because it's kind of confusing at the same time. So let's just start off with I've known about this going on. I've been reading the articles. The funny part is the media has been incredibly stoically silent. And really, a lot of the people that are covering this in the gaming media are like a select few, like a select journalist on social media or the offshoot sites on the internet. Not really of your big publications are really wanting to touch it. And right now there's this petition floating around about this particular game. But when you go on to the, the website to check out the petition, you see all these, like Blue sent me this link and I was like, is this really what's going on? There's like all these like 30-second clips of these guys expressing why they are signing the petition. There seems to be a narrative around most of the guys filming these videos because some of them really, man, I don't even know how to touch on this subject professionally because it's just like you don't want to be mean, but dude, it looks like some of these guys that did these videos don't have a snowball's chance in ever having a woman that look like that, and they're incredibly upset. I'm just going to bluntly say it. So if you haven't figured it out by now, Stellar Blade 2. Stellar Blade 2, everybody was, clapping their hands. This is why we buy PlayStations, blah, blah, blah. PlayStation exclusive, blah, blah, blah. The same old narrative. And I'm not knocking it. You know what? Hey, exclusives sell consoles. But I'm going to say it right now. Please buy exclusive games because of the story, the gameplay, the game mechanics, some other,
not because of
some other
not because they're dressed scantily and
or some other trope
pressed against
of like
their body.
I am completely shocked right now that there is literally a mass amount of people that are like, I bought the game because I wanted to see side booby. I bought the game because I wanted to see like where the leg meets the thigh and actually see like the that kind of like, I'm just like, really? Is this why we buy? And they're like, I'm just like, when you watch some of these videos, I mean, it's like, I was really looking forward to this game for what was offered to me. And I'm like, they offered you gameplay. They offered you story. But the only thing you're gravitating to is a scantily clad dress character. Then we go down the term of like, I love the one guy that's like, we have the power in Western society to destroy games like this for doing stuff like that. And then he attacked the concept of, the whole term woke. And then he attacked Suicide Squad and basically, brought up other stuff that has been brought up, like with other consulting groups that help put their 2 cents into a video game. And like watching these giant massive speeches about we are done with the censorship in gaming. And that's where I'm going to say it right now. Sony has made a career out of censoring Asian games. And this is where, like, we know with, like, I believe it was Devil May Cry, they censored an ass crack with, like, light beams. It seems like for whatever reason, any game that comes out of the Asian market of development, Sony wants it to be very prim and proper. But now we're seeing the other side of the argument where like I do now, this is where we're going to get into the valid side of the argument. If you are butthurt because you can't see boobies or a half naked woman covered in blood, you've got other problems going on. I'm just going to be like, you're
either a pervert or you need a girlfriend.
Dude, the funny part is 2 days ago at my job, some guy wanted to show me a photo on his phone of like some chick he was looking at on like, how they are like on social media, especially the thirst traps that want you to check out their
Mm-hmm.
OnlyFans accounts. I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see nothing. And like they all make, what, are you scared? I'm like, no, I'm happily married. And they're like, well, I'm married too. And I'm like, but I said I'm happily married. I'm like, I'm happily married. I don't, I'm just saying, like, I don't need to do stuff like that. That's cool.
I
To
get that
each their
shit too.
to each their
I get
own,
that too.
whatever. But you know what? You know what the funny part is? Like, as a joke, I'm pretty sure if I went and bought Stellar Blade, my wife would probably stare at it with me, and she would be making the world's greatest comments. So that's why I'm just saying, like, that's why I'm like, no, I'm happily married, and like, honestly, if that's what I wanted to do, I'd do it. But you know, I'm not going to pay $70 for that. The funny part is, I mean, probably around the holidays, if I find the game for like $40, I'll pick it up. But the funny part is, I'm also not going to lose sleep over it on the fact that, oh my God,
Oh, you're
don't
gonna
want to go
play it
see side movie.
because it's because of the game.
Right.
You're not playing it because of
But that's where,
scantily clad characters.
but let's get into the principle of it. Let's have an actual logical conversation. Tell your friends about this, everybody, because we're going to attack this from a logical point of view. So, the developer for Stellar Blade advertised the game on social media that it would be uncensored in all countries that the game was going to be sold in. They marketed off of the sex appeal of this game and the fact that the character was extremely risque dressed. They really hit the ground running on advertising based on the concepts of this is an extremely sexually graphic game. This is how it was sold to fans. This is how they got pre-orders. And this is also how Sony created hype for the PlayStation brand once again with an exclusive, especially a very controversial exclusive, because let's just say there has been some media outcry demanding the censorship of this game because they felt that it was just way too risque, way too gory in the fact that, you know, you essentially have a half-naked woman covered in a very large amount of blood. And that's where we start getting into a bigger issue. Like, we can make fun of all the guys that are like seeming to approach this from the wrong perspective of I wanted to see a half-naked woman. And let's just go to the perspective of the game was marketed as a certain way, it was described as a certain way, all to get pre-orders and console sales essentially. And now it's like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you, or you know, it was like the magic show, like, you know, like a bad magic show where, you know, where you find out that the magician did not pull a rabbit out of its hat. He was actually too busy reaching his hand into your pocket, stealing your wallet. And that's where it opens a different dialogue in the fact that that literally are companies willing to essentially lie through their teeth or twist the truth to get pre-order sales because they know that trying to get after you've played because that's the screwed up part, was after the day one release, like a day or two later, that's when PlayStation or Sony had the developer go in and start censoring the outfits. They reached into the programming of the game. They turned down the gore meter. They essentially secretly undid some of the features that were used to market the game. And that's where it gets a little screwed up. And the reason why I'm bringing this up in conversation, and like we put in the title here, the Xbox tax. I've seen Xbox torn apart for 30 FPS games, and their marketing, their lack of communicative marketing. Like, Xbox doesn't know how to market well. Well, apparently Sony knows how to market through their freaking teeth with a bunch of lies and freaking, you know, sleight of hand. I don't see all the articles from the upbeat sites describing this problem with, you know, with PlayStation essentially creating deceptive marketing, if not almost like false marketing, because they know that people are not going to be able to get returns on a lot of this digital content, because once you've played the game for so long, you're locked in, you're done, sayonara, no return. And that's where, see, that's the only funny part about that term, Marcus, is I really feel like at this point, because of just how it's been used for anything and everything, there's really not a way to actually truly understand the actual definition of it anymore, which is why I don't even like really using it. And that's why we were, me and Mickey were talking about, times change. Once upon a time, if you walked out of the house with a skirt above your knees, you were considered some very choice words that people would call you down the street. But now, if you go into the nightclub, it's nothing but thighs and ass, right? I'm just saying. So it's like times change, things come and go, and that's just like, it's like the coming of the weather. And right now, this just happens to be one of the things that is being focused on, like like it's kind of like an entertainment, like oh god, it's like all, like, when I remember when comic book movies were few and far between. Now there are comic book movies everywhere. Or when like the slasher flick was great, like back in the day with Scream, and now like there was slasher flicks everywhere, and now slasher flicks are not like dude, I remember when like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees used to be like uber popular in theaters. But now, like, there's like literally, when was the last time we saw Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees on the big screen? So some things come and go, but that's where I just don't, I actually have to at least agree from the logical sense of the argument that the game was marketed as a certain type of game with a certain type of artistic style to it that essentially got secretly just painted over. And that's where, if Xbox did something like this, oh my god, we would have every game article and their freaking grandmother writing pieces every single day. But no, we still have the same old freaking crap going on. We're seeing more articles take place about Xbox shutting down the Xbox 360 marketplace and how all those games are going to disappear. We're so concerned about, games disappearing that are like 20 some years old potentially, but we're over here going to ignore the fact that like essentially a publisher went in and had the developer go in and secretly censor a game. That's where I'm wanting to bring up the logical ideological problem with this issue. Is it has nothing to do with wanting to see a risque character on the screen. It has to do with, we are once again giving PlayStation a very large pass, where if Xbox mismarketed a game like with Redfall, where at one time they said the game was going to be 60 frames a second, then it was launched at 30 frames a second, with 60 frames a second coming in the future, but they were totally transparent about the issue. They were transparent about wanting to fix the game, but that's where, no, we have seen PlayStation go in and have the developer for Stellar Blade go in and secretly censor stuff, and even require the developer in an interview to say, well, actually, this is the product that we meant to release, but what was released day one was like an oopsie, but now the game is where we wanted it to be. No, somebody picked up a phone. Like, so it's like, was this the plan all along? Like, so that's where it leads us into two different situations. Did the outcry from the community about just how graphic the game was, both in gore and sexuality, and the outcry from certain media sites, cause PlayStation to do this and want them to change it? Basically, PlayStation bent the knee and was like, okay, we're sorry, we'll censor it. Or was this the plan all along? And PlayStation knew that they were going to do this to sell the game, to sell consoles, and they were going to secretly do this in the end. Like, was it strategic or was it reactionary? What do you think, Mickey? Mickey?
I mean,
Okay. I'm like, I put him to sleep, everybody.
um,
See, that's what I mean. It's fun to point fingers and make fun of like guys that are on there. Like, I really wanted to see like side booby. But when you actually really think about the actual like tone that it sets, at least from a marketing standpoint, you're like, oh, whoa, that is kind of fucked up.
well, I mean, it's that one's weird because uh, I didn't really hear anything of it until you told me, so I didn't even know what the freaking game was about. And I've seen a few video. I've only seen like I think one or two videos of
Dude, I have tried to
the
find
gameplay and stuff.
I've
So
tried to find some serious content about this game, but it's kind of funny. Like most of the stuff on social, unless you go on YouTube and really watch like the reviewers, most of the stuff on social media is people tilting the camera to like get views of like her body. It's just like, you know what?
yeah, that's
Maybe
what it was. They
maybe
were
you
climbing
caused
up a
this. Maybe
ladder.
you caused this grief on your own from sending all those ladder climbing videos.
It's just it's weird to me because I don't play any games for that shit. I just play it to to enjoy the game, and it's
Well,
if you don't want people talking about it, then don't do it. But they clearly wanted people talking about it because that's why they did it.
Well, yeah, and they marketed it off of it. I've read a couple articles where they showed where they really said that this is what they wanted was a very sexually explicit game with a lot of explicit violence to push the boundaries, and people were like, "Yeah, that's right, push the boundaries." And the world was excited to show excitement for a game like that. And then this happens. But to really create the double standard, the reason why I said that Sony requires a lot of these like Asian developers to have like a strict code of standards when it comes to how explicit their games can be. Um so this is where it gets really interesting. Mickey, I'm pretty sure we can talk about games with boobs in them all day long. What is like probably one of the biggest games that's released recently that actually had nudity in it, violence, blood and gore that would splatter on characters? You bought it for me back in December.
Um, yeah, I'm going so blank
Baldur's
right
Gate
now.
3.
Yeah, right.
Baldur's Gate 3. There like you can have a sexual like if I remember like what was that? If I remember right, yeah, you could have a relationship with a character
Mm-hmm.
that could transform into a bear, and then you can get into
Mm-hmm.
bestiality weirdness. Um, and that I know, like, right? Or how about in Far Cry? Um, I remember in Far Cry 4, not yeah, no wait. Far Cry 3 there was boobs. I think also in Far Cry 4, basically in a number of the Far Cry games there was nudity. And that's where I mean we can sit here and name what are considered Western,
Witcher had sexuality stuff in it.
right? Which are all Western or European developers. And for whatever reason, PlayStation still allows these games to exist on their console without censorship. But anytime a game comes out from an Asian developer like Capcom, I believe Capcom does Devil May Cry, there was a scene in the game where he's carrying a naked woman and you don't see anything other than her butt crack. And they had them go in and put like some like God rays or light beams to hide it. We've seen this now with Stellar Blade. We have seen PlayStation, at least when it comes to Eastern developers, we'll just say it, Eastern or Asian developers, have like this like double standard of you're not allowed to have a game this explicit on our platform. And that's where, like, now we're getting into aren't controlled by that's where I'm just, it's almost like the idea of not exaggerated body parts, women are people too, no exaggerated body parts. You know, see, that's the other thing. Like, I don't, exaggerated. I'm trying to understand what exactly you're trying to get at. Because at the end of the day, like they're like, it's coming down to, like, there's women out there that actually want to be like how you described it, but there's also the other end of the spectrum where women don't want to be that. It's kind of like what's going on right now in social media. We're starting to see a term called a trad wife, or somehow they describe it, like a traditional wife, where some women are wanting to go back to the lifestyle and the concept of the man goes to work and they stay at home and take care of the kids. And it's not because that's what their husband wants of them or any, that's just what they want. And they're actually being criticized for wanting to do that. That's where it's more like, so no matter what, it's kind of like what we live in, like we could get into political banter all day long, but that's why I really hate the far, what the concept of the far left and the far right, because that's not, basically the original concept is the left and the right were supposed to come together and meet in the middle. And that's where now we're seeing that they're being, I don't know, I really don't know where that's going, but see, that's the only thing. Like, it's not that. There, it just comes down to priorities. They might not be tired of working. They just might be wanting to spend time with their family. I'm gonna say right now, I work because I want to keep myself entertained. I cannot be complacent. I always try to push myself, but at the end of the day, I love being around my wife. And if I could, I would sit here on my ass every single damn day with my wife, and it would have nothing to do with being lazy. It would just be, I just enjoy my wife's company,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it's like, so that's where, I mean, like, that's why I'm just saying, no matter what, there is, oh, it's kind of like, go watch that. The Fallout series said it best. Everybody has their own opinion on how to save the world, but nobody can agree on how to do it. And that's where it's just like, no matter what, there's always going to be somebody that disagrees with you. And that's where you just got to kind of leave it be. And that's where I'm not trying to bring in the concept of, creating a very risque looking character, or a woman form that's extremely, as you put it, just over the top. For me, it's more like, the only thing I'm trying to get at is, and this is what I do in my job and what I do in real life, is I don't like, it's one thing to push the envelope, like in the YouTube realm, where you have the idea of, like, I don't like the term clickbait. To me, clickbait is the guy who went on YouTube the day Xbox, like the day, like, putting it out there that, Xbox is going to make Call of Duty exclusive because of PlayStation interfering with the CMA and the FTC and the whole ABK deal. We all knew that to be a lie. I have no idea. See, that's the only thing. Like, it just comes down to, like, that seems, I'm only talking about some of the arguments that people are making. That's some of the stuff that they're bringing up. See, that's the only thing. I'm not making these arguments up. This is actually some of the arguments that people are bringing into the discussion. And that's where I'm like, for me, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it would be great. We could, if you wanted to, you, like, my DMs are always open. I'm always willing to listen. to me, it's just more like some people are saying that PlayStation is crafting a double standard potentially. There's also, that's where I was just trying to point out that there is games that allow nudity, but other companies aren't. But that's where it's just the conversation of my whole point of view is don't falsely market your game based on everything that game was sold on just to backtrack and undo it all. And that's where I really feel at this point in time some clarification is due to the fans and the consumers that bought that game on why exactly is it being done. Is it a knee-jerk reaction because PlayStation got criticism from certain people in the industry? Or was it the plan all along and it was just a really screwed up way and deceptive, almost predatory way of marketing the game to get people to spend their hard-earned money and just like snatch the rug out from underneath them? But, you know, it is what it is. Mickey's probably like, what the F? Welcome to the fun world of gaming, Mickey. You're probably like, this is crazy. This is crazy. So, how about, like, let's get off, like, let's talk about what we always enjoy, and that is just playing games in general. And that's where, what have you been playing? I know, like, I just bought Perish for you and I, which is going to be an interesting game. Definitely a rogue, like, first-person shooter, kind of like Vermintide. I'm hoping to have some gameplay of that put up here in the next week. You literally start the game off with a broken sword, and you got to play the game to get currency and then go back to purgatory, trade in that currency and upgrade your weapon. And the whole concept of the game is to escape purgatory, but it's like Vermintide. You gotta play until you get to a point where you can either go back to purgatory and I believe resume from where you left off, or if you die at a certain point, you lose all the currency you gain and you just get sent back to purgatory, with nothing, and you got to do it all over again. That reminds me Thank you, William. Wow, holy cow, man. Yes, I remember those days, but that's where it's kind of like I appreciate that, but also at the same time, I just really do. I feel bad when you hear that about people. But that's where definitely I appreciate that. And that's why I never really try to go down the road of being essentially toxic. I own all the consoles. Yes, I harp on PlayStation and I poke fun at it, but also at the same time, I can do that with any console. But that's where, I mean, like, dude, I bought Final Fantasy, the new Final Fantasy 7, like Final Fantasy 7 2 or whatever it is. It's like Final Fantasy Rebirth or whatever. I bought that one. I still need to play it. I also have like for Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah, see that I'm actually one of those that do firmly believe in karma. See, that's one of the things. I do believe in karma. I do try to be nice. Like, I've always tried to conduct myself. That's why it's like I probably sound cheesy as hell in all my videos that I've done in the past, where I just tell people to play what you want, where you want, no matter what anybody says. And that's entirely true, because I don't let, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're like Dwayne The Rock Johnson or just a guy on YouTube. I'll listen to you, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make my own damn decision. I bought Gollum day one. Yeah, I got burned on that one. But you know what the funny part is? I do what I want. Kind of like what me and Mickey are going to do when we buy Star Wars Outlaws. Some people got incensed and outraged about that game and some stuff that I just didn't see was
we're
there.
Spending $100.
That's why I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm going all in. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go play with. I'm gonna get my content with Jabba the Hutt. I don't know what to say. How, like, I have to laugh. Like, oh my God, what about the content with Jabba the Hutt? I'm like, what about the content with that really cool strike or that game mode that PlayStation locked down from like a Call of Duty game that we couldn't get, or the strike with a Destiny game, and or how about my cool little exclusive? I bought oh my god, Hogwarts Legacy on Xbox. I didn't get the full package. PlayStation has a secret mission. I don't care. I play where I want when I want. I don't let people dictate to me where to spend my money because, I'm one of those that have really good critical thinking skills, and I am more than capable of making my own damn decisions.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
man.
know about you, Phil, but we're gonna be able to access that Jabba the Hutt
Oh, I know, right?
stuff. So,
But like, that's what I mean. Lately, I've been playing South Park: The Fractured But Whole. I really got to get that game finished. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna have somebody be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you play that," because literally, my wife walked in one day and literally looked me right in the face. She's like, "This game is nothing more about pissing, shitting, and farting," and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm laughing at it. I mean, like I'm just sitting there like, hey man, I get to pretend I'm a like superhero like back in the day, like just the idea of how these kids have an imagination and they're all playing superhero. Um,
that's too funny.
but the one game that I know you're probably gonna bring up, like Mickey sucked me into it. I didn't see it happening. And that was all because, and the funny part is I got like, I'm on this fantasy trip with like swords and sword fighting and all that other crap, which was actually kind of caused by him. We'll get into that here in a few, but, um, he's got me into playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. He started playing it and then I saw him and Blue playing it. And then I was like, hey, I'm like over here on the sidelines playing South Park and, man, I wanna play. And like, so I downloaded it and I'm gonna say it, man. I'm kind of sad I slept on this game. Like I've had the gameplay going this whole time, on the screen up here. And I mean, dude, it's fun. Like last night, I ran into a group of creatures called the Murphs and they were like, our brethren, they've gone psychotic and they're attacking us. Can you please help us defend from them? And it's like, okay, cool. As soon as it starts, you start seeing their blue little goblin creatures running up wearing the white shorts and the little white hat. And I'm like, oh my God, their brethren are the Smurfs. I'm defending the Murphs from the Smurfs. This is like, this has gone outrageous. I've been having a lot of fun playing it, man. Like, how far are you into it, or at least in like, I don't know, man. Like, how do we discuss the game without giving spoilers?
It would be kind of tough
I
because
know, right?
almost anything that you say is gonna have something to do with the game. But I mean, I like it because I've always been a fantasy guy. I played Dungeons and Dragons on paper when I was younger. Heck, I would do it now if I had a group. And then that's why I think that's why Skyrim became my game, is because that it has the fantasy aspects and a lot of the like building your character and being able to make your own weapons and things. That's what I loved about Skyrim. So it's the Borderlands 3 with a taste of that fantasy, and Borderlands 3 or Borderlands in general is amazing. So adding the fantasy aspect to it is it's awesome. I love it. It's such a great game.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I liked it so when I went into it, I thought it was literally going to be just like, some whacked ass fantasy that had nothing to do with Borderlands. And then to find out it was like they're on a crashed ship and essentially Tina, two other people and yourself are all playing this 4-player D&D game.
Like Dungeons and Dragons,
like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
And like, there's moments of like, oh, Tina, there's a Cheeto blocking blocking the path. That's not a Cheeto. That is a meteorite from space that crashed there, and you got to get a magical key to unlock it. And they're like, a magical key to unlock the Cheeto. It's a meteorite. And then and then eventually you go through and get the meteorite out of the way, and then you hear you hear her eating it in the background, and then you hear him arguing like, "You dropped that Cheeto on the board accidentally, didn't you?" And I don't know what you're talking about. So I mean, like, it's just funny to hear, like, because Tina is the dungeon master, and then you have the other characters, and like you could just tell like when stuff is like getting out of like totally off the cuff, when they're just like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden the butt stallion rides in to like save the day, and they're like, the butt what? Um
Yeah, you hear her and her comments throughout the game.
oh yes.
She's freaking hilarious. If you liked her in Borderlands,
Yes.
you would want to play this because she's freaking hilarious.
It's literally Dungeons and Dragons with Tina as the dungeon master.
The dungeon master.
And then like also I thought it was gonna be like, like actually when I first got my sword, I was like, why is the sword button on the joystick R3 button? Like this is so uncomfortable. Am I gonna have to play the whole game like this? And then all of a sudden you get the freaking little like the crossbow gun, and it's literally like, oh yeah, what, you thought because it was a fantasy based game there'd be no guns? There's guns and lots of them. And that's where if you watching the gameplay, like straight up, like all the guns, like this is a shotgun. You sprinkle magic dust into the top of this thing, and this thing shoots off beams of energy and magic. It's essentially a shotgun, and to reload it, you sprinkle magic dust into the shotgun.
That's funny.
I think this is gonna be one that I've actually finished the campaign, Boba, and thank you for come hanging out with us, Boba. I can only imagine what time it is for you where you're at. But you know what? That's where I wanted to at least this guy right here, he had a birthday, and of course, like this is where we have guys that hang out with each other on YouTube that will like meet each other at E3 every once in a while. We'll have other guys that will like go meet up at airports or just play games online. Or sometimes you'll actually see other groups, like the Iron Lords, where they go meet up at a essentially what's the word I'm looking for, at a restaurant. Hold on, my you know what, this is actually, yeah, my video just reset, so this is a good time. So of course, what do me and Mickey do? Well, Mickey for his birthday invited me to go watch a large group of athletic men sword fight. Oh my god. And Mickey over here is walking around with a mug full of slushy and whipped cream on top. So
right.
People are probably at this point like,
you know why? Because I can.
Where in the blue hell did you end up? Are you serious? Let's see if you might hear some like, okay, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, there you go. That is Medieval Times. Me and Mickey met up at Medieval Times this last weekend, where literally you go eat dinner in this like arena style setting, and these guys will literally like make horses do, like they'll make a horse dance. And then obviously all this little cheesy stuff, like, we'll back out on that one. We had some good one, but you sit down in this arena little thing, and you essentially, they don't give you a single utensil. You don't have a utensil. I have it here on the screen. This is your little metal plate and your metal bowl. You drink soup out of this little bowl. They serve you your chicken and potato and corn on here. And you essentially, I wonder if my wife mute it. There we go. It's not even showing on that screen. Nope. Yep. See, my wife is such a better photographer. I had the freaking GoPro going the whole damn time. You know what? Screw it. We'll go into the GoPro. I don't know why. I just had a lot of fun, and like that's where. So this guy was basically essentially our showmaster. And I mean, if you got these places, they have a couple of these across the United States. I definitely would suggest to anybody if you're looking for a good time of just watching stuff like this. Now, everybody's probably thinking like, oh my God, this seems cheesy as hell. If you guys are ready for some fun stuff right now, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. They're dropping the grid right now. So this whole they had to drop this screen over the arena to make sure that the shrapnel was not going to kill anybody. Because essentially, the Red Knight dude on the screen here is actually a badass. They totally hyped that dude all night. Wouldn't you agree, Mickey?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here they are essentially laying down the rules for the joust. Here come the squires that are actually putting the jousting rail into place. And essentially you're going to see it right now. The queen is actually sitting up top watching them. And here they go. Yeah, like, sorry, the GoPro, I'm still trying to figure out the image stabilization on it. But to actually watch these guys joust, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I've seen much more extreme versions of jousting, but I still would not want to be running at two people. And then obviously you have their dramatic fall off the horse because it is a little bit acted out all
It's
the
a
way.
show.
It's a show. But here, like, this is where you guys are gonna think it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, hold on. We'll click it. Here comes. Yes, that is a legit mace. He is using it on a shield. The shields are made of metal. And that's where the athleticism, especially the Red Knight on camera, was absolutely insane to watch this guy. Because, like, you know, it's one thing to swing an axe or a sword. This dude has a legit mace. You are going to see him swinging it. And that's where, I mean, he is literally like, these guys obviously have to act this out and like choreograph it, but you'd have to have a lot of trust with somebody. And to make it even more fun, the swords obviously have some modifications on them to, when they would clack with certain swords, you would see the sparks shoot off of them. As a matter of fact, yep, they're handing out the swords right now. And as you see these guys come together with these two swords, literally the sparks actually do start to fly. I don't really think they're hitting them that hard. I really do think that they're essentially, that they're coated in something. But it was an absolute blast, Mickey. And I honestly thank you for inviting me and bringing me to that whole situation. Because dude, that was for his birthday, he's like, nope, I'm going to take us to medieval times. And yeah, Red Knight dude, always go, dude, the Red Knight, you've been Boba Fett. Do you have medieval times? Cause I know, like, I thought it was funny that the menu was on a napkin. And so, yeah. Dude, that was an absolute blast though. That's where I've been on this trip now of playing video games like that involve like fantasy and sword fighting. And that's why I told you the other night, I'm like, dude, I think I'm going to play Skyrim again. Dude, always go for red. We were assigned to the section for the red and yellow knight. And, the red and yellow knight, dude, the real isn't like, I'm going to say it right now. You can tell that some of these guys were workmates, because the funny part is you would see certain, you would see certain like certain employees actually screw with each other, like the Green Knight, when he was like riding by, actually dragged one of the flags that he was carrying on one of the waitresses to screw with her. So you could tell that they're definitely friendly with each other. But we were assigned to the section with the red and yellow knight, and I'm sorry, this Rico Suave individual who's out there throwing flowers into the crowd totally ignored my wife. I wanted to get in the arena and his ass. But even my wife was like, he really seems like he's into himself. And then as the show goes on, you start realizing you're like, oh my God, this is like the a-hole of the group. This dude's a jerk. And like he's like stabbing people in the back and just totally not like the queen and the dude conducting the show are giving this dude crap all the time for acting unhonorably. And the whole time we're expecting, remember, you're the red and yellow section. You got to cheer for this guy. I don't want to cheer for him now. Can I like move seats? Oh my gosh. Oh, you've been in Florida. Cool, okay, that explains it. I definitely would suggest to anybody here, go find one. Especially it's kind of like, dude, I will say, like, the only thing that also it felt like a little Vegas-y when you have somebody walking around be like, light up swords, banners and flags, $5. But nope, that's where I just try to show people, like, no, this is not fake, that me and Mickey really are good, close friends. We're almost like family. And obviously, we're hanging out together. And I obviously didn't show Mickey's face, but yeah, he was actually sitting like like 3 people down from me. No, 2 people, because it was your kid and your wife in between me and you. I was sitting next to my wife, and we had a blast just walking around and checking out all the stuff that they had to offer. And then you basically just sit down and have that whole show for the night. But hey, you know what? It's been an hour and a half. We kind of like covered some of the fun topics that are going on this week, which happened to be, the shutdown of the Xbox marketplace, and of course the whole Stellar Blade thing. We could like go into a conversation of like, Xbox and the show that's coming, but I figured we would do one better because I'm not going to sit here. It's already started. Xbox announced a show on June 9th, 10 a.m. Pacific. So, Mickey, remember, you got to be at my house by 11 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that.
If not, we'll just like watch it on headset or something, and from our homes, whatever you want to do.
No, I'll come over.
We'll sit. But me and Mickey plan to essentially watch it together, dissect it together, and this is actually going to be really fun because Mickey has never done the whole E3 thing or the Summer Game Fest or the Xbox stage events and watched them live, and now he's going to watch it live, and then we get to have a discussion about it a few days later. So that's where we're not going to feed into the crap of, like what's already going on social media with the guys already been like, well, we know these games and these games are going to be there, but I heard through my friend's uncle's cousin's like stepdaughter, nephew, kid that somebody that works at Microsoft also says that there's going to be at least this many indie IPs, this many Xbox Studio IPs that we don't know about. And we're not going to feed into that. We're just going to, before the show, talk about what we know, what we're excited for about what we know. And then finally, after the show the show's on Sunday, we're going to do Wednesday. Then we'll get into the weeds of like, what was that, oh my God, surprise moment? What were you excited for? What disappointed you? And did it kind of like meet any kind of expectation that you have? And that's where I just say, like, at this point, don't get into the shenanigan of allowing people to get into your head and tell you what that show needs to be. Make your own damn opinion and just read some articles. We all know about some of the games that we're excited for that are being there, but for us, it's definitely the surprise moments that are going to take place. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Definitely enjoyed every single one of you here. My trust me, bro sources.
Thank you, guys.
My trust me, bro sources.
We appreciate
yes.
it.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you everybody for being here. We all appreciate it. We actually just kind of enjoy conversating with every single one of you that stop into the
and that's a lot of what this is all about, is conversation. It's not about freaking, getting into all the toxicity and all that mess. Just talking, conversing, having fun.
I don't know what you're saying, Realist. Am I boring or am I putting Mickey to sleep? Hey, you know what, man?
What?
There's people that pay. You know what the funny part is? There is people that pay damn good money for apps that put them to sleep. I'm doing it out here for free.
Whatever.
So, whatever, man. That's what I mean. We're
funny.
just here to have a good time. I can handle criticism, but you know what though, Realist? Name how many shows would actually look at your comment and talk to you. I see shows that literally get tanked with comments, and unless you donate to them in a super chat, you don't exist. So we could have that. Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah. Oh, he is hanging in there. I really do feel like he's putting him asleep. I really do feel I'm putting him to sleep.
No.
he's gonna be going to bed thinking about blood-covered side boobie. Oh my god. Or men jousting with their swords out.
Yeah, definitely not.
Definitely not. No. But no, we thank you for everybody being here. Marcus, Realist, William, Boba Fett, Blue, Yobi, everybody else that tuned in tonight that I mentioned. You know what though? But that's the funny part. I actually can. You know what? Some of the best advice that I got from somebody in I used to chat with Dealer Gaming, and I actually enjoyed Dealer's criticism. That he would not let me get by with anything. And that's one thing I like. That's what a lot of people need nowadays is criticism, because like without criticism, you don't really know, like you need the criticism to keep pushing yourself forward and evolving, because if everybody tells you every single day, oh, it's okay, you're just fine, you're going to just become complacent. And that's how people become spoiled too.
I
enjoy professional criticism. While I do the dishes. Oh, yeah. That, you know what? That's actually a good time to listen to podcasts. That's actually when I listen to them. Maybe I wonder how that'd go, podcasting while doing the dishes. Oh my gosh. Anyways, yeah, now we're going on a weird off the rails thing. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Till next Wednesday. Again, yeah, just play what you want, whatever you want, no matter wherever you want, no matter what anybody says, and just have fun. Let's bring it back to the days where we would all meet up with a bunch of strangers outside of a GameStop and we would just talk about games in a good way. Till then,
enjoy gaming.
Yeah, right. So till then, everybody, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Now I get to try to find. Oh, there's the button.